Hello, everyone, and welcome to this amazing and interesting panel. I'm super excited because I honestly had to do my homework a lot on these two subjects, automotive, fashion design, that come together to make incredible and exciting designs. So today I'm with Razan and Michelle to discuss the crossroad between automotive and fashion design and how these two worlds are just magic. Razan, you stumbled upon your career by accident, or your venture by accident.
Yes.
Tell us your story.
So when I was in college, I was studying art. Sculpture was my medium, and I was just making these huge pieces of sculpture out of heavyweight metals. And I was really scrawny and thin, and it was very difficult to carry these sculptures. My professor told me you should go into paper making. And I started making paper and realized it looks just like fabric. So I bought a sewing machine, and I started sewing these pieces of paper into clothing. And I was like, okay, perfect, disposable clothing. I never have to do laundry again in my life. And I needed to document people's reaction to my art. And I was lucky that someone wore it to a Vanity Fair event in New York. And I get a phone call from an editor from Vanity Fair saying, oh, we need to do a feature about your disposable clothing fashion brand. Do you have a company? My first reaction was yes. Do you have a collection? Yes. Are you a fashion designer? Yes. In my head, it's fake it till you make it kind of situation. And alhamdulillah, it was the start of a company that I love. Meaning it started off as a passion, and it ended up becoming a job.
Absolutely. That was back in 2008, and now 15 years later, there's so many global brand integrations. You're partnering with global brands. We're going to talk about that soon to come. Michelle, when we first came on a call together and we started discussing what you do, to be honest, I had so many questions in my head, and I think our audience today would love to know some of these questions. Can you tell us what is bespoke in Rolls-Royce, and what is bespoke, and what is phantom serenity, and what does that mean? What are these terminologies?
So bespoke is taking an existing Rolls-Royce, as beautiful as it already is, but configuring it to be absolutely individualized to suit that personality of the individual client. I work in bespoke with clients daily, from Goodwood as also in Dubai, and really we're here to really enhance the storyline of the creation of the color and the materials around each individual car. We aim to really kind of inspire the client to really pursue something extra special and really showcase their personalities through the color and material design. And that could be through a unique Starlight headliner, embroidery, unique exterior paint colors, and of course Phantom being our pinnacle of the brand in terms of the range of products. We have the gallery inside the Phantom as well, where we can also personalize. There's so many endless opportunities that we use to personalize each vehicle. And I think specifically within the Middle Eastern market as well, to kind of touch on the Middle East, it's very much a kind of expression of standing out and really being proud of your heritage and your personality as well. So that's everything that really encompasses what Rolls-Royce is about.
Absolutely. And you know, I know for a fact that in the Middle East, and I speak also for myself, we always like to be unique. We always like to wear something unique. We don't like, you know, to see someone wearing the same thing. You're the second female designer or second female to actually hold such a role in Rolls-Royce. And this is just so inspiring. And we're talking about two very specific industries that are dominated by male, automotive and fashion. If we look at all the fashion designers or fashion icons back in the day, they're mostly male. So today we have amazing two women on stage talking about their journeys. Michelle, what inspired you to go into this field? What inspired you to go into, this whole magical world of design?
Interesting question, because my background is very creative. My family actually have a textile design background. My grandmother actually used to hand sew the handbags for Mulberry, so I used to watch her as a young child hand stitching the handbags. And that really instilled this kind of beauty of taking a raw material and creating a beautiful object from that. I then went on to study fine art, and then I did a degree in textile and surface design. And it was very much a kind of mixture between the fashion world and also interior design world. But automotive never really came into my life until further on from work experiences with product design brands. And then, of course, Rolls-Royce offered me the opportunity to work in bespoke. And it was that kind of light bulb moment of, oh my God, this is literally, a combination of materials, the execution of luxury, but also that beauty of handcrafted nature of each vehicle. So that really inspired me and inspires me every day to this day, really working with clients and with the craftspeople in Goodwood.
The more I talk to you and Razan, the more I feel like there's so much synergy between both of you and between your stories and how they started, because you were inspired by your grandmother, you were inspired by your mother's very different and elegant style. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Razan?
My mom used to love to dress up, and she still does, but when we were younger, I guess the 80s, the style was more outrageous. It was amazing. I would always see her with these outfits and the earrings and the necklace and certain jewelry. And it was just amazing to see how her personality was reflected in her clothing, even her mood. And I feel like that's very important, to have your personality reflected in your sense of style.
And both females as well, which is phenomenal. I'm inspired by my mother. I'll always be inspired by my mother. Can you walk us through your design process, Razan? I want to dig deep into how do you, from concept to execution to creating your own collections. I know that recently you have signed a partnership with Disney. Super interesting, amazing brand. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So we kind of work, I kind of work in the design part backwards. Usually what you should be doing is you source the materials and you start making the designs and you work that way. I start with the embroidery, since it's the most interesting part to me. So I start doing the embroidery, whether I find a subject or an emotion that I want to embroider. And from that, I start choosing the fabrics that suits the embroidery, and then I choose the cut of the garment. It's not a very straightforward way of working, but honestly, it works for me. And it's been the way I've been doing it for 15 years. I think mostly because I don't have a fashion degree or I didn't study fashion design. So it became more of an organic process.
For Michelle, I have a question about design as well. What is the design philosophy behind the bespoke in Rolls-Royce? And to dig deeper into it, do you have a lot of female customers in the region that come to you and want to design their own bespoke car? And how do you approach the design from A to Z? How is that journey,
Interesting question, yeah. I mean, there's a famous quote that we use in Rolls-Royce, and it was from Sir Henry Royce himself, the founder of Rolls-Royce. Take the best that exists and make it better. And every day we strive for perfection in taking what exists and making it even more bespoke and even more special, if you can, with a Rolls-Royce, of course. I would say the design process is very similar in terms of bouncing ideas directly from the client. I start with literally a conversation. I'm picking up different cues from a conversation of what kind of colors do the clients like, what kind of, where is their background, where are they from, where's a favorite place of theirs, not necessarily connected to the car. And that's really key for me, is we're not talking about an automotive vehicle that gets you from A to B, we're talking about a piece of art. We're creating something very special and personal. We take through the conversations, we configure the cars digitally, we create the artwork, And then we work really directly with the team in Goodwood, where each vehicle is created, with the craftspeople there to really create those designs into reality. And we are with the client every step of the way. And as you mentioned, more females are coming into the private office, or the private office in Goodwood, as well as in Dubai now. Just to kind of talk around the private office, it's the first time that we've actually taken an atelier from Goodwood into Dubai, because we see the Middle East as such a core market of ours to really enhance bespoke. And the key reason for that is to be closer to our clients. I can sit directly with them every day, and I can really enhance the design and the amount of bespoke that we can achieve with conversation with our clients.
That's actually an interesting point, because my next question was, why was that decision made to actually, create the office in Dubai? And how is the UAE market different from the GCC market versus the global market in terms of clientele, in terms of style, luxury, preferences, and so on?
Absolutely. It's funny, because when you go back to Goodwood, where the cars are created, you can identify exactly where the cars are from by the sort of colorways and how they're curated. And I think from experience being here now, I've been here about a year since I joined in Dubai, and I would say the expression of colors in the sunshine, you have the climate here, but you also have that pride of showcasing something very unique and different. Everyone wants to stand out, and I think it's the same in the fashion world. You really create a garment to express yourself and create something beautiful. And this is what we see in the Middle East and globally around the world. It's becoming more and more with bespoke every day.
Absolutely. Luxury. I feel luxury is becoming within every industry that we have, not just in the Middle East, but globally. If you look at real estate, if you look at fashion, if you look at, it's become pieces, really. You want unique pieces. Razan, I want to ask you, as a Saudi Arabian woman, as an Arab woman, specifically Saudi, how has your culture and heritage really influenced your designs? And I asked you, who's your muse? And you had an answer to that. So can you tell us a little bit?
So my muse for my work, I answered you backstage. I told you it was all women. I find women so fascinating, the personalities, the way their personality comes out in different ways and their emotions. And I feel like when I design, I do look at a certain kind of woman to design a certain collection for. As a Saudi, a very proud Saudi from the Eastern Province, where they go pearl diving. So you see pearls everywhere in my designs. I love them. Even our wedding dresses, when clients come that don't want beading or they wouldn't want designs, we'd attach a little pearl inside just to be like, okay, this dress was produced in the Eastern Province. We also use a lot of gold threads, which is seen a lot in our cultural clothing.
Now, you told me backstage that you're in London, you're in different cities, and the way you create your designs, the way you design them is different from one region to the other, and it's different from one climate to the other. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's not that we design them differently for each market. We adapt a garment to the market that it's to be sold in. So if it's sold, for instance, a pair of pants would be short for the lookbook. For the English market, we would make it a shorts. So it would be short above the knee. For the Middle Eastern market, it would be long, because that's what they would like to wear to their events.
Another question, and I'm going to come back to Michelle. You recently did a partnership with Disney, and you took on one of their very, very, very old stories, which is Snow White.
Yeah.
And you're in the business of storytelling. I believe that Michelle and Razan are out there telling stories, whether it's your design stories, whether it's your customer stories. Tell us, how did this partnership come about, and how did it really turn into something great?
So it started, I first met one of the senior directors in Disney when I first started working. They had a designer Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they had the children make sketches of their princess dresses, and they needed to find someone to produce them at no cost. And I was like, sure, I'd love to do that. So we produced the dresses for the winners of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we made those little girls, like the dresses they drew, we turned them into reality. Fast forward a few years after, she calls me, and by chance I was in Dubai, and she's like, can we meet for a coffee? And she's like, okay, do you know how Gucci have a Disney label? So it's Gucci X Disney. I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, and Christopher Kane has a Christopher Kane X Disney label. She's like, I want you to be the first Arab brand, first Arab female also, first Saudi brand, first everything brand. I was like, of course. I didn't even know what she was proposing. If she was going to ask me to make cups, I would have said yes. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. She's like, do you like Disney? I'm like, I still watch everything. I watch all the show, all the movies.
Who doesn't?
All the movies. So she's like, okay, khalas, and then we'll talk further. So after talking more, we decided that, I decided that I really wanted to take apart these Disney stories and use. The beauty of Disney is how everyone can relate to it. So I wanted to take out the elements that make the story and make it relevant to a person from any ethnicity or any country. And that's what we did. So we chose the first princess, which was Snow White, to be our first collection. And we're now launching a second collection in about a month, which is going to be Little Mermaid. And the collection, you won't, if you're really familiar with the movie, you would know that it's Disney. But if you're not, you would still say it's Razan Alazzouni. So that was kind of what we wanted to do.
Super exciting. I mean, I am a Disney, I'm a Disney girl. And I think we all watch Disney. We all, dreamt with Disney and not necessarily to be a princess, but you could be anything you want, But it's a beautiful story, and you're continuing the story, and I can't wait to see the collection as well. Michelle, talking about stories, and you work with the bespoke and the phantom and so on. And you have so many stories, so many clients who have dreams. They want to see their dreams. They want to see their art. Can you share some exciting stories with us of certain journeys that you had?
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, there's a lot of journeys that I've been on. One particular client, obviously a lot of projects we cannot talk about, but this particular client came in and he was actually colorblind. So we were talking with him about his world that he sees very differently to everyone else's. And I really love this story because we delved into the discussion, and he actually said that there was one type of shade of blue that he can see really, really well. And we were like, okay, well, we need to make you a paint that exactly matches that color of shade of blue. So we did hundreds of samples for this client. We narrowed them down to exactly the kind of shade that he was looking for, showcased all of them to him, and he picked one and was like, that's my color. So we've named the color after him, and he has a car now built with his perfect shade of blue. The interior was completely white, so we color matched everything pristine and white because that was a more relaxing environment for him to be in, with all the colors looking very different in his world. But I think that's the tangible kind of nature of bespoke that we go to, and that's making his dream come true. It's on another level. And in terms of bespoke projects, I mean, one of my favorite projects, and as soon as I knew that I was talking with Razan on the embroidery side of things, was Serenity, Phantom Serenity. And Serenity, in a nutshell, was the first time that we launched a pinnacle textile on the interior of the Phantom. It was really to enhance the fact that although we're so used to using leather as the pinnacle material, actually silk used to line the interior of some of the previous Rolls-Royces back in the history. The actual, the driver would sit on the leather and the passenger would actually sit on the silk, because it was a sense of a living room environment, being chauffeur-driven in your vehicle. We actually wanted to create a theme around the car that was very tranquil and calming, because Phantom, of course, is a very relaxing vehicle to be in. So we decided to enhance the theme by using the idea of a Japanese garden, and we actually hand-embroidered and hand-painted blossom silk onto the headliner of the Phantom. So when you're sitting in the rear seats, you really get a sense that you're sitting underneath a blossom tree. And we used cherry wood throughout the wood set and mother-of-pearl inlays to really enhance the storyline as well.
Oh my God,
it's exquisite, and this is the level we go to at Rolls-Royce.
This is like being in a museum or in your own personal canvas, if you want. It's
Walking into
beautiful.
art.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Speaking of inspiration and so on, Razan, your business is with your two sisters.
Yeah.
So it's a family business.
Yes.
I love to talk about family businesses because I feel like they are so inspiring, because sometimes we want to kill our siblings and we can't stand them, and yet we choose to work with them and actually grow a business together. Can you tell me what are the do's and don'ts, and how can you actually stay together, united, to drive the business forward?
I think the most important thing is to have very clear roles, like everyone kind of knows what they are doing, what's expected from them, what they need to achieve, and not to overstep on another person's role. So in our case, like, I'm just design and production, but I have nothing to do with budgeting and finance and all of those things. So I fight with my sister, who's responsible for the finance and the budgeting once a season. I'd be requesting more money for more fabric, and she'd be like, no, you didn't reach your sales. But otherwise, we each have our own lane to be
And you
in.
respect each other's,
We complete each other.
expertise, and you complete
We
each other.
complete each other. We wouldn't be working with each other if it wasn't successful. It would have flopped. It wouldn't have kept going. We actually know how to push each other to better ourselves or to succeed more. No one knows me better than my sisters.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's inspiring, and it's beautiful to see women supporting women, especially if you're sisters, if you're siblings. It's wonderful. I know that I'm out of time, but I just wanted to have one last message from each of you, because you're both in different industries, yet colliding, and I think there should be chemistry there. There should be synergy there, working together. Maybe next year we will announce something together. But just one last message to the future generation, to girls out there who want to be who they want to be, who have big dreams. What do you have to tell them, Razan?
I hate the word passion project. So never think of your passions as a passion project. Think it's a business. You can turn it into a business. It can generate income, and it can sustain you. That would be what I would
Absolutely. So
tell
just go
everyone.
out there and create your own project and make it viable and make it profitable, and don't just park it on the side. Michelle?
Interesting one. So when I did fine art initially, a lot of people were like, oh, there's no money in art, you're going to be a struggling artist kind of thing. And I always knew that I would do something creative. And I think if you have a passion for something and you really work hard and you see that end goal, you will succeed no matter what. So I would just say, if you have an aspiration or a dream, go for your dreams, because it is achievable. And never give up on what you want to do.
Absolutely. I think the unified theme this summit was follow your dreams.
Yes.
Never ever allow anyone to tell you otherwise, that you can't do it. You definitely can do it. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for this wonderful conversation. Thank you for our audience, and thank you, Forbes.